And we've been talking, of course, a whole lot of football. And one of the things that Rob and I, Martin, have had conversations about is right situation, right? Having guys go to a good place, develop a place that is going to be set up for them to succeed. And Kevin O'Connell, coach for the Minnesota Vikings, has something to say about this very topic.
I just think as a whole, there's not enough emphasis put on the organization's role in the development of the position. Meaning, I do believe this, Rich. I believe that organizations fail young quarterbacks before young quarterbacks fail organizations. Just overall 30,000-foot view, I think it's important to understand that every single one of these guys is on a journey, a very difficult journey, that they need the support, they need the teammates around them, they need the systems in place to ultimately try to maximize who they are and what their potential is, because you're still drafting players, Rich, off of potential. And then everything that happens from that moment to when that potential becomes a reality is really on the organization if you've got the right guy that you're bringing in.
On the Rich Eisen show there, I like that last part he said, if you got the right guy. So I do think that's key, because I don't want to absolve any responsibility or accountability from the player, right? You still got to do the work. You still got to put in the extra time. You still got to be there. You still got to be a guy that your teammates believe in. So that's a fact. So you get the right guy. I don't think we put enough emphasis on organizations failing these players, as Kevin O'Connell was alluding to, Martin. I feel like we sometimes give up on these players. I'm like, dude won a Heisman, or dude was a quality player, a number one pick, or what have you. He all of a sudden doesn't suck, especially if he's the right guy, meaning he's putting in the work, he's studying the playbook, he's showing up, and he's ready. And sometimes we got to start looking at these organizations. Do they have an identity? Do they have something they do well? Do they have the right coaches around them? Did they get the right players around the actual talent of said quarterback? And we give up on these guys way too fast. We call them bust, we call them this, and I'm like, yo, give that man the right opportunity. Give him a head coach that's capable, a head coach that isn't nervous looking for his job, so he's starting to make crazy and frantic decisions. And I think you can start to see them thrive. Not all are going to thrive because everybody ain't good. But I think sometimes the scapegoat is the player as opposed to the organization or the coach or the system sometimes. Like, yo, y'all getting rid of these guys way too fast when you have some organizational issues, period, whether it was somebody else, this quarterback, or somebody else in his position.
See, but okay, so I'll challenge you on this. Let me say it like this. If all that you said is true, then there's only like 5 places that quarterbacks can go and be expected to be successful.
Keep going.
You told me that you got to have the right organization, right? You got to have the coach that's not looking over his shoulder, like a coach that has autonomous decision-making. Where's that exist? Pittsburgh? Baltimore?
I'll give you a great example. Dan Campbell in Detroit. He came to Detroit, which was a horrible situation for years and years. Jim Caldwell started to stabilize it, right? They started to have some stability there. But that actually would go to an original point. You got Jim Caldwell. They start making less stupid plays. Detroit used to always shoot themselves. You shooting the foot. They started to play. You had to beat Detroit. They didn't beat themselves. You're like, oh, shoot, we got to actually play Detroit. And they made the postseason a couple times. You started to change the culture. You started to have an identity. Then, they want to get rid of them, 9-7, what have you. Dan Campbell comes in after Matt Patricia. That was a terrible example. And then he starts to, again, build an organization, build an identity. I'm going to be more philosophical than the X's and O's. I'm going to let Ben Johnson get busy, a quarterback-friendly offensive coordinator, right? Now you got Jared Goff, and you revitalize his career. If somebody fell from Mars a few years back, they'd have thought Jared Goff was trash.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not saying that he's trash because he was good enough to get to a Super Bowl. He's good enough to play in the NFL. Mm-hmm. To me, he is a above-average starter in the league.
I agree. Right? I'm with that.
But Dan Campbell was at one point 1-9 and had lost to the New England Patriots and Bailey Zappi 29-0. That seat was incredibly hot, right? Now, it worked out, but the idea that there's only a handful and a lot of them just got fired or retired. Belichick, Belichick, Pete Carroll, those are the guys in the NFL that have the long, the idea that a quarterback is going to walk into a situation of head coach continuity for over 5 years in this league, it's not true.
It's not true.
It's not true for the majority of the league.
And that's exactly why you get these quarterbacks who end up being, we're like, oh, I guess he can play a little bit. So I'm not saying it's happening in 32 places. I'm saying this is exactly why you get quarterbacks, a Sam Darnold, who we talked about earlier, Marcellus Wiley, who is talented, who can play. We're like, oh, did he figure out how to play? Then you put him in a situation where, oh, we got a defense that can play, so I don't have to always force, like, if I don't get it done, it's not going to happen. I got a quarterback-friendly coach. Go ahead.
Because this is the thing that gets me, is we talk about it like this. I know the poster children for this are like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, right?
Yeah.
Well, like, forgive me, but like Marcellus said it all. He didn't say it all the way, but I'm not trying to put words in his mouth. But like, yeah, Sam Darnold had all the physical tools. What do you think happened? His brain matured as he got older. Baker Mayfield walked into a dumpster fire in Cleveland, right? Of course, it was a disaster.
Right.
But you remember when he left, that was a good team. And you know what you heard when Baker Mayfield walked out the door? Nothing. The Odell Beckham's dad made a video showing how much he missed. That's the perfect moment for everybody in the locker room to be like, that's my quarterback. Nobody did it. Geno Smith is the only starting quarterback that I can think of whose jaw was broken by his own teammate, right? The point that I am making here is that maybe, just maybe, not everybody at 20, 21, 22 years old has the mental stability and ability to handle the rigors and pressures that come with being a high-level NFL quarterback. And if you can stick in the league long enough and you can mature enough, then some of that stuff doesn't happen. Because Joe Burrow walked into a horrendous situation in Cincinnati, and the years, and obviously this one's 0-3, but prior to that, if he was healthy, he was sitting in the AFC Championship game, right? You're not telling me that Zach Taylor's dialing it up, right?
But what you just said is another reason why we don't give these quarterbacks opportunities. They come right in, and to your point, they don't get to walk in and develop. They throw them in the fire. Go get in there. And so sometimes that elevator has to match, right? There's natural ability, talent, that elevator is here. And then as you mentioned, just simple experience, right? Any job, simple experience, figuring it out. Where's this? Okay, where's that? Once that elevator meets, when you have that ability that finally meets on the same level as the mental and the understanding the mental aspect of the game, that's when you get your peak, whomever it is, especially a quarterback. So I don't disagree with that, but it goes to what he's saying of, we throw them in the fire, they look crazy, then we say, okay, he's out. Some guys get you look at the quarterback stability of a team like the Packers. Well, all right, have a seat for a minute. Learn the position. Get comfortable. See what's what. Next thing you know, you've had same 3 quarterbacks now. Once Jordan Love has probably done another 10, 12 years. For like 40 years of great quarterbacking. So I'm not disagreeing that everybody isn't going to be great. Everybody does need to mature and grow. I'm just simply saying sometimes having an environment in which they're allowed to do that, in which they're allowed, you need to have the GM and the coach who say, you know what, hey, bro, we actually believe in you, but you're going to sit a year or two.
You know, I'll say
like that's a part of it. That's not just simply,
it's real.
Go out there and play. It's, we actually believe you so much, we're going to have you have a seat for a minute.
It's real. I'm not saying that it's not. I mean, you could argue the same thing that's what the Patriots are doing with Drake May, knowing that, hey.
Jacoby ain't it for.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bridge guy. He's got to play hard, but he's not going to be somebody extended to a long-term deal. I just know this, though, because there's been a lot of Sam Darnold celebration. I'm not saying I'm not here for it. The man's playing well. All I'm saying is this. We've seen Sam Darnold string together 3 good weeks before.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin O'Connell, and I don't think he's doing it necessarily intentionally because he's trying to big up his quarterback. He's writing a lot of checks about these young quarterbacks, and he got one on the injured reserve right now that we're going to see what he does with them.
Mm.
Like, think of which one? So, like, J.J. McCarthy comes out and if J.J. McCarthy comes out and let's just say looks like Daniel Jones, are we going to say that did the organization fail the young QB or the young QB failed the organization? Because Kelvin O'Connell just told me that organizations are failing quarterbacks more frequently. I don't think it's true. I think, obviously, but, with the things we're talking about, better situations or not. But, I mean, I watched C.J. Stroud walk into a 3-win team, and saying day one. Leadership, you know what I'm saying? He seems like he's got the intangibles to do it, and it's not just because of his play on the field.
No, I think the larger point is like everybody, there's always going to be an outlier, which is why we keep bringing up C.J. Stroud, right? That's why we bring up maybe a Jaden Daniels. You're always going to have an anomaly. I think the larger conversation is everybody might need some time or might need some development or might need an offensive coordinator who fits him, who understands, hey, this is what this guy does well. Let's scheme to that. Let's make that happen. And they don't often get that. And I think that's what his point is. We're just giving up on kids. We're not giving them all the tools to win. We're not saying, hey, man, that was all right that season. We're going to believe in you the next one. You got people just getting thrown in the fire, then ready to get kicked out the fire. The coach didn't get a chance to develop with him because we're kicking him out. We're firing him. So now I got 4 or 5 coaches in 3 or 4 years. So it just creates an environment where how the heck am I supposed to succeed? And you mentioned CJ. That's credit to him that he's able to, be this good. And that's kind of how he was in college. Now he is in the NFL. We'll see if, he can continue to have that success. But I think he's more on the anomaly side. You asked earlier, was it Sean King, I believe? Not Mark, maybe. Yeah, I think it was Sean. These young quarterbacks coming out looking kind of trash right now.
Sure.
And but we'll see if they're given the time and the resources.
I think more of that is the overdrafting of the quarterback position, because you're not telling me that the 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks are the 6 best football players that were available.
My friend, I'll give you a long distance dap on that. Give me some. We actually agree on that for sure.